lovely people. Today I'd like to talk about my spiritual life coaching program and what that means for me and how it works for me and what it can mean for you and how it can work for you, because I believe I have quite a unique approach with this, and that is why I've called it spiritual life coaching, because I believe that we are not just a brain, we're not just a body, and the spiritual component to us is quite huge. I mean, that is our heart, that is where all of our emotions and that's what we live from, even if we're aware of it or not, whether we live from an open or a closed heart. And so the spiritual component is quite important, but it all works in balance with every other aspect of us. And this was inspired by a pop-up that came up on Facebook when I was scrolling through this morning, and it was one of my videos from 2 years ago. And at that time we were still experiencing lockdown and quite a lot of restrictions. And so the message in that video was, as you see it, so it is. So that was when I asked for what then, back 2 years ago, what did I need to speak about that day? And the message I got was, as you see it, so it is. And as I look back on that video of 2 years ago this morning, it's so interesting. And then we know this, but it's so interesting to look back to see how the lens that we perceive life through, that is our own personal life and what's happening around us and globally, how that affects everything, how that affects our perception and how it affects what we believe is our reality. And it actually is our reality, because that's what creates our reality. So we were looking through a lens of a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of loss in many ways, like financial loss, personal loss, loss of freedom, all of those. And so how we see it, so it is, that is how we were perceiving life to varying degrees and levels, depending on what was actually happening in our part of the world and in our own personal world. And so when I looked at that today, and then coincidentally, I received a testimonial from one of my beautiful spiritual life coaching clients, and his testimonial was very touching. I've posted it below, and I think it really gives a really good picture, and not in my words, but in someone else's words, of this, how we see it, so it is. Because as you will see by his testimonial, as he saw his life in the beginning, before he came to see me, and how only a few months later, how he now sees his life and what his life is going to look like now. So what it looked like before was, like in his own word, he sort of felt hopeless, he felt lost, his life felt like nothing, he felt he was wasting his life, he felt he had no life, there were lots of restrictions in the way he saw his life and the way he felt about himself. Mainly it was the way he felt about himself. And that's the case with all of us. It's mainly about the way we feel about ourselves. And but just to show how in a few short months, the huge difference, and how that phrase, as you see it, so it is, how that can change in only a few short months. It can change day to day. In fact, it does change day to day. It's just we're simply not aware of it. And so in my life coaching program, I bring in, like we do strategize and work through whatever issues are, but my main focus is on empowerment. It's on empowering my client to see, and to see through a different lens, to see through the lens of possibility. That is where I think is we sort of, I don't know if it's the right way to say, we let ourselves down a little bit when we don't see and we don't view through the lens of possibility. We see or view through the lens of what's not possible, or what we believe is not possible. So again, it's going back to those beliefs. And so with incorporating all the aspects of coaching, including the spiritual component, like understanding our thoughts, watching our thoughts, and then creating a coherence between the mind and the heart, because we'll have the brain telling us, no, you can't do this, that's impossible, it will never happen, no way. When you've got your heart saying, well, why not give it a go? How do you know it's not going to work? And you have this conflict. And this is how, this is what I take you through as well, is how to bring that into coherence so there is no internal conflict and you're coming from possibility. And as you see it, so it is, then it will be from the lens of possibility and not what you can't do. And so, and I can't let this opportunity go by without giving a shout out to my wonderful Bali retreat that is coming up in September of this year. It is called Immersion into Empowerment, and I'll link below to that if you're interested. What I've been talking about with the life coaching is all about self-care and self-love, because unless we can come from some aspect of that, then as we see it, so it is. It's going to be from, if we come from a lack of self-worth, then that is how we're going to see our life, that we're not worthy of all the wonderful things that we want in our life. And so it's all about the self-love and the self-care and how we can go about that. And through the spiritual life coaching, we go through more of a detailed step-by-step process. But in my retreat coming up, it is all about the self-care and the self-love. And we'll be doing that through, look, I've got quite a few videos now explaining in detail about that. So if you, I'll try and link below for those as well. But if you just go through my page, you'll see them, and my website, and also my YouTube channel. I'll link to that. You will see the videos there explaining quite in detail about what we're going to be doing on the retreat. But it will, my intention and my hope and my wish for us all is that at the end of that retreat, that what we see ourselves in our life to be will be different at the end of the retreat than what it was at the beginnings, that it will be far more full of possibility and with strategies and coming from a coherent heart-mind space, so that we have that clearer lens of how we view our life. So I won't talk too much about the video, about the retreat right now, because as I said, I've got quite a lot of information on my private Facebook page, Messages from the Heart, and also on my normal Facebook page and on my website. And I will link as much as I can below, so that, and my event page, of course, I will link to that. But so if there's an issue in your life that you are thinking that there's no way that, or if there's something you want to achieve in your life that you think there's no way that you could possibly do that, I encourage you to think again and to think about this, that as you see it, so it is. So this is how you're seeing it now, then this is how it is. But know that you can see it differently. You can. And we all can. And we can see through the lens of possibility. All right. Well, hope this has been helpful for you. And if you know someone who could benefit from this video, who might be interested, please feel free to like and share, because the more of us that in the world that live from possibility and that see ourselves more and more closely to our true self, to our divinity that we are, to our limitlessness that we are, then the much more wonderful this world is going to be. So as always, let's love ourselves enough to do this. Ciao for now, and much love.